So when was the first time that you visited Southeast Asia?
It was on a gap year, kind of after school and before university. I was on the way to Australia to work, that typical kind of backpacker route that lots of British people do. And then I just like fell in love with Thailand.
Wow, so you were doing like a short trip. It wasn't just a layover. You were actually staying in Thailand for a while.
Yeah, we were doing like a year abroad. We were going from Asia to Australia to New Zealand and then South America, much to our
Wow.
parents' like apprehension. But yeah, went to Chile, Argentina, and Brazil, and then back to England. But Thailand just stuck in my memory and my heart so much. And I changed the degree course that I was planning on doing.
That's a very ambitious trip. I
It
mean,
was for an
multiple
18-year
continents.
old. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there was only email then.
And no Google Maps.
No. Like that's
Wow.
when, it was email. There wasn't any Facebook, because that was 21 years ago.
Okay. That's a different world. That's a different world back then.
Yeah, so you
I
got to
mean,
be a proper backpacker.
I can't imagine traveling internationally without having a smartphone. Like it's just so integral to how we do things now. And I feel like I rely on it so much more, even when I'm abroad. I need to have Google Maps. I want to have like an international SIM card, Airbnb, Uber, like Grab, whatever it might be. And so I have so much respect for people that have done those trips without that kind of crutch. But I couldn't imagine doing it myself. That's crazy.
Yeah, we had like the Lonely Planets. They were really good, the
Ah,
guidebook. And then
yes.
you'd kind of find accommodation when you got there, or we went to like the Thai Tourism Authority and they kind of booked our whole trip for us. You'd rely on travel agents.
Yeah, my dad did a trip across Europe. I think I want to say in like the 70s, and they were driving, like they rented a car, and he was telling me about him and his brother, navigating the streets of Paris with a paper map. Like one guy was navigating, the other guy was driving, and I'm like, wow, I don't think I could navigate cities here in Canada with a paper map, let alone another country altogether. So that's crazy.
It's a
Um,
skill. Yeah.
it is a skill that younger people today definitely don't have. When I was 18, I also did a trip to Australia, and I wanted it to be an ambitious trip. I thought I'm going to go to Australia, travel around, then I'll go to New Zealand, then I'll go up to Southeast Asia. And so I wanted it to be similar to what you guys did, but like 6 months in, my money ran out. And so then I had to go home. And so it ended up just being Australia. But that's really cool. So you went to all these different countries and Thailand stood out. What was it about Thailand that made it different?
Yeah, just obviously the warmth of the people, the atmosphere of it like being relaxed and that anything could happen, like things were just possible. You'd wake up and you would never know what's going to happen that day. You'd end up meeting people, going places that you don't expect. And Australia, even though I did like it, it was similar to England. It was a Western English speaking country, that kind of formal, whereas Thailand was just totally different to anything I'd ever experienced.
And I think you can either be drawn to that or you can be intimidated by that, because that can be something that holds people back from going to different countries too, right? They want that familiarity from like, oh, the same kind of Western cultures or something like that. But you wanted, there was something about that difference that you liked.
Yeah, and just the sense of adventure. And, they had everything: beaches, mountains, caves, like staying in the kind of raft houses floating on the river, like quite like beautiful nature. The food, the partying, the other backpackers. It was just like fun. So fun when you're 18.
And how long were you there for that first trip?
I think then was maybe like a month. And we
Okay.
spent a lot of time on Koh Phi Phi, like 3 weeks, which I probably wouldn't go there nowadays. That's not my cup of tea. But also we basically ended up in Australia and a few days later, the tsunami happened. So we literally missed that by
Oh,
like
wow.
less than a week.
And that hit Koh Phi Phi as well?
Wiped it out. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So, and we'd changed our flights to stay there even longer. But thankfully we left.
Now, Koh Phi Phi is in the south. Is it
Yeah.
one of the islands in the south?
Where the
Right.
beach was filmed. Yeah.
Ah, okay, the
Movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio
You
movie.
look like him a bit.
Yeah, a lot of people have told me that
Have-
actually. Yeah.
It's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just you. I'm like, yeah, maybe if you like, gained a few pounds or something like that, maybe I could see it. But
No, it's a big compliment.
okay, well, thank you. I wasn't in Koh Phi Phi, but we went to Koh Tao. I spent only like, I think 3 weeks in Thailand, maybe a month. And we went to, yeah, Koh Tao. Because anything with Koh means island, right?
Yeah, yeah. Got.
Okay. The K and the G sounds, they're different in Thai. Is that right? They're kind of like in between those two versions that we have in
Yeah,
English.
that's exactly right.
Okay.
It's quite hard to transliterate everything, isn't it, with the English alphabet. So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like in Spanish, the V and the B. It's not the V isn't a V sound, but it's also not a B sound. It's somewhere in between.
a mixture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a mixture. But I'm assuming when you were first in Thailand, you didn't speak any Thai, right? That came
No,
later.
none. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I found I was going to do learn to be a teacher at university, but then I found a course which was Thai and Southeast Asian Studies, and they still teach it at the University of Leeds, which is an amazing city in the north of England. And it's a 4-year degree that I did. And the second year of it, you actually go to Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, and you study at the university there, which is one of the top universities in Thailand. They wear uniform, and so you get a real intensive language learning there. And then you go back and do 2 years in Leeds.
Wow. Okay, so and how much of that program is focused on the language and how much is focused on other things, culture, history, and
I'd say it might be kind of 25 to 33%, like a quarter to a third of it is language. And then quite a lot of it is kind of economic, society, history, geography, religion, all to do with Southeast Asia and East Asia in general, depending on the kind of modules you pick.